Welcome back, everybody, to the 10,000 Heroes Show with me, your host, Ankur Shah Delight. And today I want to tell you a story. So it's the story of how I unlocked a fountain of limitless creative energy in less time than it takes to toast a waffle. And of course, how you can do that too if you really want to. It's actually a direct result of this Elephant in the Room challenge I started back in July. So if you're new to the show, I'll give you a brief recap because the history is important here. A few months ago, we asked the question, what can we do in just a few minutes a day to totally transform our lives? And of course, this is a part of a long, multi-thousand-year history of humans and optimization that probably started with what is the right amount of starter to put in yogurt, or what is the right amount of water to give to the garden, and it's led us to all kinds of fancy coffee and workout routines and everything else that we do. But our answer to this was a 28-day challenge that I call the elephant in the room. And it's a simple process with 4 steps. Step 1, you figure out what the elephant is. The elephant is a thing that's blocking you, whose shadow is so large, it sets the tone of the room, and you don't even know it's there. It's just like dominating everything. So once you figure that out, step 2, you figure out what you can do in just a few minutes a day to work on the elephant. So we're explicitly trusting in the power of consistency here to get the compounding effect of momentum. Because any small action, if you do it for just a day, it's a small action. It's not really going to help against this elephant unless, I don't know, you get really lucky and you have some sort of transcendent, enlightening experience. But usually what we're counting on is doing the right thing, if you can find the right thing, over time leading to benefit. So that's step 3, is doing it consistently. In this case, it's 28 days. And step 4, hopefully there's enough data to evaluate, did I get the elephant right? Did I get the action right? Did I do it consistently? Did it make a difference? Is it worth continuing? Did it satisfy the need? What's actually going on here? So this was my 4th elephant in the room. I think we did it 4 times. And in the beginning, in April, we offered it just to the members of our coaching program. So we did that in April, we tried again in May, and then in June. And the reason we kept doing this was because people were having incredible results in the program. And I was like, hey, this is a really good idea. It wasn't my idea, but it was a really good idea. And I was like, hey, let's make this public because I always want more interaction with the public. And that's the main drawback of doing this coaching program, is that you only get to work with 50 or 60 people. And I like big parties and I want to work with more people and have more interaction. So I was really excited about this idea. However, in terms of my own personal experience of the first 3 months, I did not get any revolutionary benefit. And that's often the case in these kinds of things where I'm playing this host facilitator role, and so I'm a little more concerned about facilitating other people's experiences than my own. But I really did want to be the proof in the pudding. You know, my business partner Matt, he's having these like phenomenal experiences. I mean, he's just made of consistency anyways, so he's able to get a lot out of this. But I don't know. It was not life-changing. You know, it was not more transformation than I ever thought possible in less time to make a waffle at that point. So in April, I think my thing was to come up with a video. I had like a YouTube video idea every day, which was fun, but not life-changing. And it was cool. I had a lot of great ideas. I wrote them down. I lost most of them. I definitely did not make the videos because that takes longer than a few minutes. In May, I was like, oh, you know, I've never really been able to do pull-ups. You know, I would cheat and kind of jump up and do the pull-ups, but someone taught me what a real pull-up was from a dead hang, and I was like, damn, I cannot do that. So I was working on pull-ups in this 4x4 kind of wooden beam where the grapes are trellised in the beginning of my house, and that was cool for a while, but then as it got warmer, there was a lot of wasp activity around there. Eventually, I hurt myself scampering into a boat while in the middle of a lake, and that was the end of being able to practice any kind of push-ups. And then in June, I was like, okay, I should do some sort of physical fitness thing to have more of a routine around that, because when I'm not hiking, like, what am I doing? So I was going to run every day, but then I quickly realized that my body did not want to run every day and wanted to alternate things. And there's just mornings where I have early meetings, and so I just gave up on that quickly. So there's 2 kinds of learning here. One is about consistency. So let's go into that. Consistency is hard. Surprise. It's also what makes the difference between incredible results and just a bunch of random shit over the long term. And people have been telling me about this forever. It's never been my strong suit. I remember when I first did my pilgrimage in India along Gandhiji's salt march route. Early on, I think it was day 3 or 4, I went to this ashram near Nadia. I think it was between Nadia and Anand. And somebody, you know, You meet people, they tell you where to go. So somebody said I should go there, and it was right on the road. So I went there and I met the people and I meditated and I had lunch and met the guru and did all the normal ashram things. And so I was sitting there talking to the guru character, and he's asking me about my meditation practice, and I tell him about Vipassana meditation, the Goenka Vipassana retreat that I'd done, and the other techniques that I'd studied and found beneficial. And then he started doing that Gujarati clicking thing that my mom always does. See if I can do it like. And it's really just, in my mind at least, I don't know what's actually intended, but it's synonymous with disapproval, you know? And he's like, my child, you are like the thirsty man who wants water. There's a thirsty guy who wants water to drink. Somebody gives the guy a shovel, so he starts digging a well because he wants to get water. But he digs for a foot, you know, it's probably like a long time in the hot sun. He finds no water. Imagine this like really rocky ground, right? And then after 2 feet, he keeps digging. And he's like, man, there's no water here. I'm going to dig somewhere else. And then he digs 2 feet somewhere else. Takes him a couple hours. And he still finds no water. So he's like, okay, you know, I'll dig somewhere else. And of course, days later, the dude is still thirsty and exhausted. He's still digging, and the ground is covered with a bunch of these tripping hazards, and he has found no water, you know. And the guru guy's like, yeah, if you want a well, you dig deep in one hole. And I was like, okay, you just want me to follow your weird meditation technique or whatever. But here I am, 20 years later, and I can say he's probably right. In most areas of life, consistency is really badass. It's like compound interest. It's really powerful because it's so consistent. It's never not compounding. Funny little mathematical aside about compound interest and the benefits of consistency. As I was thinking of this article this morning, I was like, what really is the difference between compounding monthly, compounding weekly, compounding daily, and this continuous compounding where you use the exponential? I don't know if anybody remembers this stuff. But basically, theoretically, when a quantity, usually money, compounds, it can happen at these different intervals. So you could be like, okay, it's gaining interest every week, and then that interest is feeding back into the principal, and then that's going to gain interest. That's the compound interest thing. And you could do that on these different time periods, so monthly or weekly or annually or daily. And you can take it to the limit, because people in math love taking things to the limit, and then it's just continuously compounding, right? It's at the limit of like the time period is as small as you can imagine. But what's interesting is that by doing the compounding daily, I did the math this morning, you get like 99.98% of the value of doing it continuously. And even by doing it compounding weekly, you get 99.6, I think, 99.6% of the value of compounding continuously. So obviously we shouldn't draw any direct parallels from that because that's just math and this is life. But doing something consistently on a weekly basis is better than nothing. It's not as good as daily. It's not as good as continually, like my meditation teachers that are like, I am in 24-hour constant meditation, consistent awareness. That's the best. Got it. That's the best. But you can get a lot of the way there without doing it all the time. So anyhow, where did I come from? 2 kinds of learning. One is consistency. Consistency is hard. I get that. You get that. Everybody knows most good things are hard. That's why they're good, blah, 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 blah. The other learning was about choosing the right elephant, which I did incorrectly 3 times. So most of our lives, there's a lot of things that can be changed. A lot of things can be tweaked and improved, and I tried a bunch of them. But it turns out running and push-ups and idea generations are not game changers for me. Like I'm getting a little bit older, but in general, I'm in really good shape physically and mentally, and those things were just not very impactful. Good things to do, not the elephant. So then this month, in July, I was like, well, damn, like what is the elephant? And usually the elephant is this massive thing hiding behind a curtain. So it might be hard to find, but once you find it, you're like, oh yeah, that's the guy, that's the elephant. And if you're lucky, your friends are like, yeah, man, we've been telling you that for years. So at the beginning of this month, I was reflecting on my work. I was like, what's the central theme of my work? What am I trying to do? What is work? And it's all dissolving, And then I'm like, okay, I know what I'm here to do. So I call it catalyzing transformation. Basically, I'm like an RA for adults, and like the world is my dorm. And I do that in 2 ways. The main way I've done it my whole life is talking to people I know and just having experiences with people I know. And this other way I'm exploring now is talking to people that I haven't met yet, And, as you might expect, I feel pretty good about the first, talking to people I know. I've done that for a long time, whether they're coaching clients or friends or people I meet on the bus. I'm pretty confident in my ability to listen deeply, do the problem solving, understand the root of the issue, and then give people a little nudge to help them constructively disrupt their lives. Constructively, not just gratuitously disrupt their lives, because that's not fun. But the second part, talking to people I don't know yet, that's the growth edge. And ultimately, that's how I'm going to have the impact I want to have in the world, because I don't know everybody yet. And the mathematician in me knows that I'm not going to ever be able to know everyone yet. So that's what I'm doing now. Emails, articles, podcasts, video, all this stuff. And I realized I was consistently under prioritizing those activities and giving them my leftover energy. So I had all these things to do in the day. I'd make the list. And like many people, I'd fall into the trap of doing the urgent things first instead of the important things. Or I didn't realize that this was the important thing. So that in a general workday for me, which is a whopping 6 hours, I would focus on the operational stuff, the scheduling, the messages, and do the really creative stuff last. Where really the creative stuff takes the most energy and is the least predictable. In fact, what I've noticed over and over for years is that I'll have the best ideas, which are the most fun ideas, at the strangest times. Riding a bike, doing the dishes, in the middle of a conversation, about to go to sleep, working on something else. And I'll be like, oh yeah, that'd be great. I can totally imagine myself saying that. But I won't prioritize it. I won't write it down. I won't honor it. I'll just be like, oh yeah, later. And just keep doing what I'm doing. And then, of course, it never happens. So this month, I was like, all right, screw that. Let's say that's the elephant. And I'm going to honor that creative impulse and just give myself the permission to write. So even if I'm supposed to be doing something else, or it's the middle of the night, or I'm going to hike with someone and it'd be a bit rude, I was still going to take that opportunity and took whatever time I need to document the idea. And some days it was just a 40-second voice memo, which, for the record, is less time than it takes to toast a frozen waffle, which is going to be important by the end of this, so just keep that in mind. And sometimes I would end up writing for an hour and just be in this total flow state. And sometimes it was 10 minutes, and then I get back to my task. And sometimes I'll wake up and take 15 minutes of voice notes or writing, and then go back to sleep. Some days there was nothing, because there was nothing to pay attention to. But the consistency was in the attention to what was coming up, and the commitment not to suppress it, but just honor the idea. And honor my identity as a writer, which even though I've written multiple books over the years, I think I kind of forgot that I'm a writer. And that all this other stuff I'm doing, the courses, the videos, the podcasts, it's all based in this phenomenon of talking to people that I haven't met yet. And that's what writing is for me, talking to people that I have not had the pleasure of meeting yet. So what's amazing is that I got the elephant right on the fourth try. And so right that I'm going to do the same thing again next month to further ingrain it, because this is a really pernicious. This is a dangerous thing. So I'm like, really, I think it would be really lax of me to let go after just a month of it. I've got to really hold this muscle here. But before, there was this knot around creativity and this inner conflict of wanting to do something, having an idea, wanting to do it right, and then just not giving myself the permission to do so. Because I had the more important things, or, actually were there just the more urgent things that were not important. And really then deferring this enjoyment, this expression, and it's like holding it in when you have to pee or suppressing a sneeze, which, by the way, when I studied Ayurvedic medicine back in the day, those old-time Indian doctors from 5,000 years ago were very, very, very clear that bodily functions should not be suppressed, so stop doing that. What I did not expect is that my refusal to continue suppression has unlocked this torrent of creative energy. And now I have ideas coming forward all the time. And the more writing I do, the better they get and the more energized I feel. It's almost like what people say happens when you keep a dream journal. And then you just have more and more and more dreams, which I've never experienced, but I'd like to one day. That's what's happening right now. And ultimately, that's the point of this for you. Like, maybe you don't care about writing, or certainly, hopefully, you don't care too much about my relationship to writing. But the lesson I want to share is the elephant is bottling up a lot of energy. Your energy. So it's not just a block or a barrier holding you back, though that is true, but it's also sitting on this hoard of treasure. And that treasure is yours. It's your birthright. Maybe it's joy, maybe it's ease, maybe it's creativity, maybe it's power, maybe it's your voice. But the point is that facing the elephant doesn't just remove that obstruction, doesn't just remove the negative, but there's a huge amount of power and positivity and just pure energy that will soon be yours if you do your homework right and you get it right on the fourth try, like I did. So that's what I'm talking about with the fountain of limitless energy. And yeah, some days it might take less time than eating a frozen waffle, which I'm not endorsing for the record, and some days it might take more. If you're into doing this in a cohort and receiving all the strength and support and accountability that provides, we can do that. We're starting our next Elephant in the Room challenge on August 1st, totally free, except for all the time and the energy and the heartache you'll put into it. So seriously, consider it. Do it. Do what I did. Do it incorrectly, or there's no failure, it's only learning. Learn a few times and then get it right. Find the right elephant, tap into that fountain of limitless energy, and avoid the frozen waffles because I'm almost sure they're no good. And of course, remember, the only way out is through. Hey, it's me again. If you like this episode and it made a contribution to your life, please consider signing up for the newsletter, because that would make a contribution to my life. Basically, what I'm looking for is more direct interaction with my listeners so I can improve the show. And the best way to do that is signing up for the newsletter, and then we can get into some tasty email discussions and the like. All right. Thanks.